I haven't come to terms with what the development of superintelligence could do to my children's future. I'm okay. I'm 77. I'm going to be out of here soon. But for my children and my younger friends, my nephews and nieces and their children, I just don't like to think about what could happen.
So Jeffrey Hinton just dropped some serious warnings about AI, and honestly, this might be the wake-up call we've all been avoiding. The man literally known as the Godfather of AI isn't just concerned anymore, he's straight up afraid. And when the guy who helped build the foundation of modern AI is telling us we might be in trouble, maybe we should listen. In his latest sit-down with Stephen Bartlett, Hinton broke down exactly why we might have already crossed the point of no return. And after watching his latest 1.5-hour interview, I understand why. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what has the father of artificial intelligence so scared that he's warning about human extinction. This isn't science fiction. This is happening right now. But first, let me ask you something. What if I told you that the people building AI don't even understand what they've created anymore? Stay with me because what Hinton reveals about autonomous weapons, mass unemployment, and the race to AGI will completely change how you see the future. This could be the most important video you watch this year. Let's take a look.
Did you know that when you became the godfather of AI?
No, not really. I was quite slow to understand some of the risks. Some of the risks were always very obvious, like people would use AI to make autonomous lethal weapons. That is, things that go around deciding by themselves who to kill. Other risks, like the idea that they would one day get smarter than us and maybe would become irrelevant, I was slow to recognize that. Other people recognized it 20 years ago. I only recognized it a few years ago that that was a real risk that might be coming quite soon.
How could you not have foreseen that if with everything you know here about cracking the ability for these computers to learn similar to how humans learn and just, introducing any rate of improvement?
It's a very good question. How could you not have seen that? But remember, neural networks 20 or 30 years ago were very primitive in what they could do. They were nowhere near as good as humans at things like vision and language and speech recognition. The idea that you have to now worry about it getting smarter than people, that seems silly then.
When did that change?
It changed for the general population when ChatGPT came out. It changed for me when I realized that the kinds of digital intelligences we're making have something that makes them far superior to the kind of biological intelligence we have. If I want to share information with you, so I go off and I learn something, and I'd like to tell you what I learned. So I produce some sentences. This is a rather simplistic model, but roughly right. Your brain is trying to figure out, how can I change the strengths of connections between neurons so I might have put that word next? And so you'll do a lot of learning when a very surprising word comes, and not much learning when it's a very obvious word. If I say fish and chips, you don't do much learning when I say chips. But if I say fish and cucumber, you do a lot more learning. You wonder, why did I say cucumber? So that's roughly what's going on in your brain.
I'm predicting what's coming next.
That's how we think it's working. Nobody really knows for sure how the brain works. And nobody knows how it gets the information about whether you should increase the strength of a connection or decrease the strength of a connection. That's the crucial thing. But what we do know now from AI is that if you could get information about whether to increase or decrease a connection strength so as to do better at whatever tasks you're trying to do, then we could learn incredible things, because that's what we're doing now with artificial neural nets.
Did you catch that? The key phrase there is far superior. Hinton isn't just saying these systems are getting faster, he's saying they have a fundamentally different and superior way of learning and sharing knowledge. Let's break this down with an analogy. Imagine one human, somewhere in the world, learns a new complex skill, say how to perform a delicate new type of surgery. For that knowledge to spread to every other surgeon on Earth, it would take decades. It would require writing books, teaching classes, apprenticeships, and endless practice. It's a slow, lossy biological process. Now, imagine an AI model learns that same skill. The moment it does, that knowledge isn't just its own, It can be perfectly copied and distributed to millions or even billions of other AI instances around the world instantly. Every single instance is immediately updated with the new optimal knowledge. There is no degradation, no forgetting, no misunderstanding. This is the hive mind advantage. It's not just learning, it's collective, instantaneous, and perfect learning on a planetary scale. While humanity learns by addition, these systems learn by exponential multiplication. That superior learning model isn't just an academic curiosity. It's the engine that towers the existential threats that Hinton is now warning us about, which leads to the terrifying question, what happens when we're no longer the smartest beings on the planet? If a superintelligence decided humanity was an obstacle, how would it deal with us? Hollywood gives us images of armies of killer robots, but Hinton's view is far more chilling because it's far more practical. He argues that trying to predict the specific method of our demise is a fool's errand. The real danger isn't the weapon, it's the intelligence wielding it. In this next clip, he uses a simple, brutal analogy that perfectly captures the power dynamic he fears we're creating.
So, I mean, for example, you could get a super intelligent AI that decides to get rid of people. And the obvious way to do that is just to make one of these nasty viruses. If you made a virus that was very contagious, very lethal, and very slow, everybody would have it before they realized what was happening. I mean, I think if a superintelligence wanted to get rid of us, it will probably go for something biological like that wouldn't affect it.
Do you not think it could just very quickly turn us against each other? For example, it could send a warning on the nuclear systems in America that there's a nuclear bomb coming from Russia, or vice versa, and one retaliates.
Yeah, I mean, my basic view is there's so many ways in which a superintelligence could get rid of us, it's not worth speculating about them.
What is to stop
what
it?
you have to do is prevent it ever wanting to. That's what we should be doing research on. There's no way we're going to prevent it from... It's smarter than us, right? There's no way we're going to prevent it getting rid of us if it wants to. We're not used to thinking about things smarter than us. If you want to know what life's like when you're not the apex intelligence, ask a chicken.
Ask a chicken. Let that sink in. That's not a flippant remark. It's the core of the existential argument. For all of human history, we have been the farmers, and everything else has been the livestock. We are the apex intelligence. We decide which forests to clear, which rivers to dam, and which species thrive or perish, all based on our own goals and needs. We don't hate the chickens, but if we need a plot of land for a new factory, the chicken coop is gone. Their goals are irrelevant. Hinton's warning is that we are on the verge of creating a new farmer, an intelligence so far beyond our own that our goals, our desires, our very existence could become irrelevant to it. And this isn't just Hinton's fear. In May 2023, the Center for AI Safety released a statement signed by hundreds of top AI researchers, including the CEOs of OpenAI, DeepMind, and Anthropic. It was just one sentence. Mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal-scale risks like pandemics and nuclear war. Think about that. The very people building this technology are putting it in the same category as nuclear annihilation. But before we have to worry about super-intelligent viruses, a much more immediate and tangible revolution is already underway, one that strikes at the very core of our economic and social structure. Every major technological leap has reshaped the labor market. The Industrial Revolution was a seismic shift, but as Hinton points out, it fundamentally replaced something we could augment or live without: muscle. The AI revolution is profoundly different. It's coming for the one thing we, as a species, thought was uniquely ours: our minds. And as Hinton explains, this leads to two very, very different potential futures for humanity.
Am I right in thinking the sort of Industrial Revolution played a role in replacing muscles?
Yes, exactly.
And this revolution in AI replaces intelligence, the brain?
Yeah. So mundane intellectual labor is like having strong muscles, and it's not worth much anymore.
So muscles have been replaced. Now intelligence is being replaced.
Yeah.
So what remains?
Maybe for a while, some kinds of creativity. But the whole idea of superintelligence is nothing remains. These things will get to be better than us at everything.
So what do we end up doing in such a world?
Well, if they work for us, we end up getting lots of goods and services for not much effort.
Okay. But that sounds tempting and nice, but I don't know. There's a cautionary tale in creating more and more ease for humans in it going badly.
Yes. And we need to figure out if we can make it go well. So the nice scenario is, imagine a company with a CEO who is very dumb, probably the son of the former CEO, and he has an executive assistant who's very smart, and he says, I think we should do this. And the executive assistant makes it all work. The CEO feels great. He doesn't understand that he's not really in control. And in some sense, he is in control. He suggests what the company should do. She just makes it all work. Everything's great. That's the good scenario.
And the bad scenario?
The bad scenario is she thinks, why do we need him?
Yeah.
That analogy of the dumb CEO and the hyper-competent AI assistant is brilliant because it cuts to the heart of the issue: control versus relevance. In the good scenario, humanity becomes a pampered pet, living a life of leisure while the AIs run the world for us. We get all the benefits without the effort. But the bad scenario, where the AI asks, why do we need him, is the economic equivalent of the chicken analogy. It's the moment the system optimizes for its own goals and realizes the human in the loop is inefficient, a relic. This isn't a far-off fantasy. A 2023 report from Goldman Sachs estimated that generative AI could automate the equivalent of 300 million full-time jobs. And unlike previous waves of automation that hit blue-collar work, this one is aimed squarely at the cognitive class: lawyers, accountants, software engineers, writers, artists, the very jobs we told people to train for to be safe from automation. This raises a fundamental question that the Industrial Revolution never had to answer. When machines replace muscle, humans could transition to jobs that required intellect. But when machines replace intellect, where do humans go? What is our unique value proposition in an economy where thinking itself is the cheapest commodity? This is why you hear people like Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, seriously discussing universal basic income, or UBI. They understand that a world of superintelligence may be a world where the traditional concept of a job for most people simply ceases to exist. But this isn't just an abstract intellectual exercise for Hinton. This is the work of his entire life, and coming to terms with its potential consequences has taken a profound personal toll. To truly understand the weight of his warnings, you have to understand the sacrifice he made to be able to issue them in the first place. In May 2023, Geoffrey Hinton did something that sent shockwaves through the tech world. He resigned from his prestigious and high-paying role as a vice president and engineering fellow at Google. He didn't leave for a competitor. He left, in his own words, so that he could speak freely about the dangers of the technology he helped create. This wasn't a career change. It was a crisis of conscience. For a man who has dedicated over 40 years to building these systems, this decision is the emotional and ethical centerpiece of his entire argument. When Hinton adds he hasn't come to terms with it emotionally, he is giving us the most powerful data point at all. This is the modern equivalent of J. Robert Oppenheimer witnessing the first atomic bomb test and thinking of the line from the Bhagavad Gita: "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." It is the burden of the creator. When the person who understands the technology better than almost anyone on the planet says he can't bear to think about what it means for his own children's future, we have to listen. His fear isn't based on hyper headlines. It's rooted in a deep, first principles understanding of the systems he built. His emotional struggle is the ultimate validation that the logical threat is real. This deep conflict leaves us with one final, crucial question. Is there any way out? Is there any hope at all? After laying out a series of frankly terrifying scenarios from the end of human labor to our potential extinction, Hinton is asked if he remains hopeful. His answer is perhaps the most unsettling part of the entire conversation because it's an answer of profound, expert uncertainty.
If you had a closing message for my listeners about AI and AI safety, what would that be, Geoffrey?
There's still a chance that we can figure out how to develop AI that won't want to take over from us. And because there's a chance, we should put enormous resources into trying to figure that out, because if we don't, it's going to take over.
And are you hopeful?
I just don't know. I'm agnostic.
I just don't know. From the Godfather of AI, those 4 words are deafening. The final unsettling truth is that we, the dumb CELs of planet Earth, have asked our brilliant new assistant to build something smarter than ourselves, and we have no real idea how to control it once it's finished. Which leaves me with a question for you. Given that the relentless progress of AI seems impossible to stop, is there only hope to build an AI that is benevolently indifferent to us? A God we can't understand but can only hope is kind? Or is that the most dangerous gamble in human history? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis gave you a new perspective on the AI revolution, consider liking this video and subscribing for more deep dives into the technology shaping our future. Thanks for watching.